So as some of you know, it's been a really busy year for me. I had a baby in January 1st to be exact, and then we've been adding on to our 500 square foot cottage here in Seattle. We've added on an extra bedroom and a bathroom and a loft, which I'm currently standing in. It's still not complete 9 months later, so I will show you guys the finished product eventually. We're getting closer and closer. But today's video is gonna be more about what it's like living in a small space with a baby. Not only did we live in the 500 square foot cottage here in Seattle, but also I spent some time at my tiny house on Whidbey Island, which is only 165 square feet. When you have a tiny house, you can't just be going out and buying all sorts of stuff. You have to think about each and everything in your little space. Because I've made so many other videos about other people living tiny with kids, I was able to draw a lot of inspiration from other people and incorporate it into my lifestyle here in a small house and also in a tiny house. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of my favorite products that I use as a new mom living in a small amount of space. I think all of these products are great for people living small, or if you live in a large house but just want to save some space. I'm going to be breaking down this video into different categories where you can scroll to a certain section, such as sleeping, feeding, cleaning, and playing. And if you like these kind of videos, make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell so that you get a notification every time I post a new video. So let's start with sleeping. When you have a tiny house, most of the time your bedroom is going to be in the loft. A regular crib won't really work in a loft because you only have a few feet of space, so you can't grab the baby out of the top of the crib. You really have to have something that has a side opening. So I asked around with all my tiny house friends. A lot of them recommended this travel crib, but I found another one, basically a cheap knockoff, and it fits perfectly in my loft. When I'm not using it up in the loft, it's easily collapsible and I can take it outside and there's a place for her to play. The main advantage is that it's lightweight, it's easy to set up, you can store it away when you're not using it. That's gonna be a theme in this video, by the way. And it has a side opening, which is absolutely great. I do want to bring up another option that I found from another tiny houser with a baby in a loft, and I think this is absolutely beautiful. So there's floor to ceiling coverage in a sturdy way with a climbing rope that the baby actually can't pull down. So when your baby starts eating solids, you're gonna need a spot for her to eat. First, I just had her on my lap and I was feeding her with a spoon. Not recommended. So I did find out that I actually do want and need a high chair. First of all, it's a great place to just set her up with some toys so she can do some activities on her own, but also it helps a lot with cleaning. And cleaning is now a regular part of my life. So I recommend this collapsible high chair. What I love about it is that it folds down in one sweeping motion and it fits perfectly in between my fridge and the wall, which is really just like a 3-inch space. I love that. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that some of the other high chairs that I've tried have, but it's really affordable and it's a great space saver. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about cleaning. I've always struggled with keeping a tiny space clean. It just gets dirty so fast. All of a sudden, I had a baby and a long-haired dog in a tiny space, and I was just constantly finding little pieces of hair on her slobbery little hands. It was gross, guys. So this product is the Hoover One Power Evolve cordless vacuum. That's right, cordless. It runs on a battery. And yes, I was skeptical that it wouldn't be powerful enough to actually clean up all of Selisa's dog hair, but I've been pleasantly surprised. The battery life lasts a long time. It charges super fast also. It's really easy to clean out. It's also smaller than a regular upright vacuum, which is great for a small space. And when I was postpartum the first couple months, it would have been really hard for me to carry a large vacuum around. This one weighs less than 9 pounds, so it actually weighed less than baby Juniper when she was born. Hoover also has the Dust Chaser, which is a handheld vacuum that uses the same battery system. So I have both, and I mainly use the handheld one at the tiny house in the loft. You'd be surprised how dusty it can get up there with 3 people sleeping. And the Dust Chaser weighs less than 3 pounds. So even if you're just looking for a handheld vacuum for your tiny house, that one's really great. I know it's really tempting to buy a ton of toys for your kids. I have a lot of hand-me-downs, that's for sure, but I will say some of her favorites are not toys at all. You can give a baby a $20 toy, or you can give them a ladle from the kitchen, and they will prefer the ladle. She also likes empty egg cartons. So if you're about to have a kid and you're in a smaller tiny house, my advice would be to just reconsider going totally crazy on buying a bunch of toys that light up and make noise. I mean, in a tiny house, you really don't want that anyway. Look around you and see if there's something that you can give them that's safe and free. But I did cave and I bought this play yard and I love it, and here's why. You can remove panels, so it can really be as small or as large as you want it to be. It's foldable, so it, once again, can collapse down into a small space if I'm not using it. But I love that it's foldable for another reason too. It can fit in an odd shape or around different pieces of furniture. That's really helpful when you have a small or tiny house with only a little allocated space to create a safe space for your baby to play. So really the only space that I have for Juniper in our cottage is just a 4x5 little area for her. But she loves it, and it supports her when she stands up to look at me and say, "Hi, Mom." So another recommended product from another tiny houser who has not only a baby but a toddler living in her tiny house is the Baby Bjorn Bouncer. It can actually collapse and fit underneath the couch. Also, the baby loves it. Okay, so now we're moving on to safety. So my favorite baby gates are these retractable ones, and they're great for small houses because you can leave them in place. They look really nice. They actually almost blend into the walls, so they're not an eyesore. They're also removable, and they come with 2 sets of mounting hardware. So sometimes I use it to block her off from the kitchen, and sometimes I use it to place her in her bedroom, but keep the door open so I can keep an eye on her. I'm not sure I would trust them at the top of a staircase, but I trust them to keep her out of the kitchen. So those are my favorite baby gates. Mama? Alright guys, so those are just a few of the products that I recommend for having a baby, a dog, and a significant other in a small or tiny house. If you'd like me to do another video with some of the other products that I recommend, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know in the comments if this is something you're interested in hearing about, or if you want me to do a day in the life video as a mom in a tiny house or a small house. Let me know, and I will come back to you with a final tour of my small cottage once it's absolutely complete. Anyway, I will see you guys soon with more content. Junie, that's Mommy's tripod. Are you my little camera assistant? Oh gosh.